4 big guys, and they grab on my thighs, blow up my guts like the 4th of July. If they keep fucking my butt, then I might just cry. Pooping semen spraying on my eyes. He lick my dick and the cum start spraying. Charging up my dick, I'ma go super saiyan when he comes to
Hello guys, welcome back again, and this is kind of a special video because this is going to be most likely my last video for Dominions 5. As many of you guys who are fans of the Dominion series know, Dominion 6 is coming out very, very soon. Most likely mid-January, so that's very, very soon. I'm looking forward to it a lot, and I'd really like to do a cover of that video, of that game when it comes out. But I'd still like to make at least one more video for Dominions 5 before we kind of say goodbye to this game forever and relegate it to the garbage bin, just like Dominions 3 and 4. So my last video is going to be also for my favorite nation in the game, which is Mekone. So let's take a look at that nation here. Alright, so this is Mekone, and as I said, this is my favorite nation. I mentioned in my Pythium video that I really like Middle-Age Pythium a lot, but Middle-Age Pythium and this nation, Early-Age Mekone, are really close in terms of nations I like a lot. I also like the later versions of Mekone, Phlegra, Late-Age Phlegra, but Early-Age Mekone is just kind of special. I don't know why, but something about it is very unique and very interesting compared to a lot of other nations. Now, this is a very bad nation for sure. It's definitely quite weak. However, it's not so weak where I find you will suffer a lot in multiplayer compared to some nations where you're basically just rush bait. Mekone is kind of unique where it's a weak nation that people don't really want to rush. So in multiplayer, you can actually hang on for quite a while, and I very rarely get kicked out of the game early as Mekone. Usually I'll last often till the end of the game, if not be one of the final players, though I've never actually won a game as Mekone, so that does say something more about my ability rather than the strength of this nation. So I'll talk about some ideas about playing Mekone. I've played this more than any other nation in the game, so I think I can comment about a few things that might be useful for it, and also talk about the different units. So as I said, this is a very unique nation. It's all mostly, not all, but mostly giant units. So you have a lot of these size 4 units, as most of your units here. Most of your commanders are these giant units, and a number of your recruits are. However, when it comes to your recruits, all your giant recruits are limited recruitment. I mean, you can only get like 5 of them per turn each, I think. I think each of these is only 5 per turn. So these are not like exclusive. So for example, I can get 5 of the hoplites, and then 5 of the Ekdromos, and then another 5 of the Disglobus if I have enough resources. But all of these are a huge amount of resources, so you're probably not going to be able to afford that unless you have just tons of resources coming in. Another thing, these are not cap only, so I can get 5 hoplites in my cap fort, and then a couple others in an off cap fort as well. So I can get a few of these guys. As long as I'm getting decent resources, I can get quite a few of these guys. Nothing about Mekone is you can use the slave troops. These are all Peltas. They're all with the, not Peltas, they're all the Helot troops. And all of them have the slave tag, which for one makes them cheaper to recruit, but also gives them a morale penalty. However, if you lead them with one of your commanders here with the Taskmaster, should be okay. Most of your commanders have Taskmaster. The only one who don't are the generic kind of human commander, the Neodemode, a lot of the Greek is a little bit hard to say, but Neodemode commander doesn't have Taskmaster, but all your giants do, and these are usually the ones who will be leading anything anyways. So these guys with Taskmasters, perfectly enough to lead some of these Helot troops around, though I tend to not use these too much. You kind of reach a point in the mid to late game where you want to transition from the giants towards more of the hoplites, but that's kind of up to you and how you want to play. Usually I kind of use the giants throughout the whole game and transition more to summonables and thugs rather than spamming a lot of hoplites. The most useful of your slaves is the Helot Peltas. This you really love to spam a lot of. I love to spam these guys. They're pretty decent, just generic light infantry, but you know, they're cheap. They have really low upkeep. They have this promotion mechanic, which is kind of a meme, but you know, it's there. And you know, they have a javelin, which is nice. And considering you're a Flaming Arrows nation, very easy for you to cast Flaming Arrows. A lot of these Flaming Javelins can be pretty useful once you get to the mid-game. Beyond that, you have your Slave Troops. These are both just generic Hoplites, the Ekdromos and the Hoplite. Not much of a difference besides the Ekdromos has a short spear and a little bit worse armor. The Hoplite has a little bit better armor and a longer spear, so generally this guy's a bit better. And as I said, by the time you get to mid-late game, this is an option you can transition towards if you want more just masses of troops that are pretty decent. These are pretty good chaff, so this is an option later game. I almost never use the Piroeki. This is just like a little bit upgraded version of the Peltast, but for the amount you pay, it's not really worth it, I think. I'd rather just keep getting the Peltast. Next, you have your giant troops, the Disglobus, who's your, I should say, archer unit. Kind of a naked dude throwing a disc. And these are really inaccurate. However, the strength is so high, if they hit something, it's going to do a lot of damage. You could make these work somehow. One thing I've done is casting some aim assist spells to assist their aim. Maybe something like Wind Guide or something like that to help them aim a little bit better. I can make these guys quite nice as archer units. So these are an option if you want to get these. These are pretty cheap for giants. They're only 7 resources. So you can consider them as like an extra kind of ranged unit, but I tend to not use these too much. The next two are the Gigante or Gigante Ekdromos and Gigante Hoplite. These are both basically the same, just the Ekdromos has a little bit worse gear, a little bit weaker the Hoplon versus instead of the Hauberk, you know. So he's a little bit worse gear, but otherwise these are pretty similar. The only reason I never get the Ekdromos is if I want, I have a little bit extra money and I can't afford another Hoplite, I might throw in an Ekdromos as well. Or if I have a lot of money but I've reached my limited recruitment for the Hoplite, I might get a few Ekdromos in addition. But beyond that, there's not much of a difference, and you can mix these guys into a single unit and without much difference between them. Okay, so that's all the units. You can see there's no sacred units for this nation. All the sacreds are commanders only. Your mages and some of your commanders up here are mostly sacred, but your units are not sacred. However, they all come with a built-in magic weapon as well as magic armor, which is quite nice, especially in the early to mid-game when beating that magic armor, magic weapon is quite difficult. Though by the time you get to the late game, this becomes less of an issue. Still, it's quite good to have these guys. If you can get enough of them going out, they make quite nice chaff. And having the magic weapon is always nice against whatever kind of units come in the late game. One thing about these is you need a big commander, minimum leader size 4, so you need to lead them with one of your giants. They will not be led by one of your normal commanders or some indie commander you find. All right, let's look at the commanders, because this is where the nation really gets its flavor. Now, the commanders are quite good for Mekone, but they're also bad in some ways. I'll go over why in a minute. But first of all, you have your generic kind of leader. Besides the fact that he's a giant and a taskmaster, there's not much special about him. He's just a generic kind of army leader. He's not bad, though I tend to not use him that much. I prefer to use the mages as my army leaders rather than this guy. Let's take a look at your mages. So you have 3 kind of recruit anywhere mages. You have the Durante, who's your cheapest mage. He's a 1-path mage, either fire or earth, and he's sacred. He's old, he's a taskmaster, so he could be okay as a generic army leader. He's actually not too bad as an army leader. However, his limited magic kind of limits his ability to do that much. You could, again, just use him as a leader and a priest to cast some simple spells. You could use him as a little bit of a light thug, just give him some gear. He does have a lot of strength since he's a giant chassis. He's old, so that kind of puts a damper on it, but since his skills are quite good, you can give him a little bit of gear and have him go out to do something as well. One thing I like to do is give this guy a bow and have him fire some kind of arrows into the enemy while he's leading a small group. Next is your E4. This is your main battle mage, and probably the main mage you're going to be recruiting a lot of. He's okay, however, his path spread is a little bit wonky. Now, he starts with Fire 1 and Earth 1, and he has a random for either Fire, Earth, or Air. Now, the Fire 2 and Earth 2 E4s are both quite good. Generally, the Earth 2 is a little bit better, because that one's more useful for most combat magic you want to be casting as Mekone, though Fire 2 is okay, because you can use Phoenix Power and have him summon fire elementals and things like that. However, if you get the Fire, Air, Earth E4, that really sucks, because then he can't really do anything. He can cast a lot of the level 1 spells and do a lot of junk, but really he's lacking a lot of what would make him useful. So about a third of these E4s are going to be kind of useless and basically just sit researching. The other ones will have at least some kind of use. Though I find in games I tend to be really unlucky and get a ton of the Air Path E4s, whereas I don't get that many of the 2/2 ones, which is a little bit unfortunate, but maybe that's just my bad luck. He has other few things unique about him. He's a Taskmaster and he's old as well, but he's also an Inquisitor, meaning he can get bonuses for preaching out enemy faith or enemy dominion. Actually, all of your kind of old man mages have the Inquisitor trait, so they can all do that. Another unique thing about Mekone I didn't mention is you get the Dominion bonus. You can suppress enemy Dominion really easily. You get the conflict bonus +1, so you can feel free to go a little bit lower Dominion than you normally would, especially since you don't have any sacred units to spam. You don't really have any sacred units, so you don't really need the high Dominion, and your Dominion is already a little bit stronger than others, so you don't need to worry so much about getting Dom killed as other nations might. Plus, all of your priests are very strong priests because they have this Inquisitor trait. However, they're all Priest 1. The biggest priest you get is Holy 2 or Priest 2. So no recruitable Priest 3s. However, this Inquisitor trait makes them pretty useful in terms of preaching against other faiths, so that's not too bad. Alright, so that's the E4 in Durante. The E4 has another kind of hidden feature, whereas if you recruit him in a fort, he will have a yearly, I think it's yearly, yes, every single fall season in the game, he will have a special event chain where he will kill a certain percentage of the population and reduce unrest, and then after that spawn a kind of a unique assassin unit called a Cryptis, I think. I forget how to pronounce his name. But you will get a very unique unit. Let me see if I can actually find it. Let me bring up the mod inspector. Unique units. Cryptis, yeah, this guy, here he is. So this guy, you will get some of these every year out of your forts, and these are quite nice. They're not sacred, but they're an assassin, they're a giant chassis, they're stealthy, so this is kind of nice if you want to get some kind of free assassin units to go around. And if you have a lot of forts going and every fort has an E4, you'll get quite a few of these guys every year, and you can gear these up a little bit and turn them into stealthy assassins to cause trouble. So that's an option for Mekone as well. You do have this assassination capability, and while they are not that great assassins, again, you can gear them up, and they are a big giant chassis, so they can be pretty effective with a little bit of gear. Now let's go back to the game here. So that's your 2 mages. As I said, these guys have the special feature where every year they will reduce unrest at the expense of killing population. A big thing about Dominion, about Mekone I should mention again, is that all your forts cause unrest because you're a bunch of gigantic slavers. All the humans get upset with you being there. So that's kind of something to consider, because you should try to think about where you're placing your forts. Try not to place forts too much in high income areas. You should put them in a little bit lower income areas, maybe in forests or mountains, but close to your high income provinces. That way you can maximize your income without sacrificing too much. Since you don't really need a lot of recruitment points anyways, it's not a big deal to put your forts in the lower population provinces, and that way you won't suffer as much from the income reduction. Next, for your recruit anywhere mages is your Archon, and this is arguably your best mage because he's recruit anywhere, and he has quite great paths. He has 1 fire, 1 earth, as well as 2 randoms for either fire, air, and earth. So the same paths as E4, except he gets a +2 for any of these. Now, all of these are pretty useful. Obviously, getting 3 earth or 3 fire is pretty nice. Getting 2 air is pretty good as well. That means he can use Cloud Trapeze. He can boost himself up with Storm Power. It costs a lot of the bigger air spells. The main use for the 2 air one is, again, Cloud Trapezing, using him as a little bit of a thug. I really, really like Archons as thugs because, again, they recruit anywhere, and they're very great combat mages in general. So the one with 2 air, he can Cloud Trapeze an enemy province, he can give him a little bit of gear, and he can make it for an excellent, excellent thug. Not to mention the fact that he's not old. So he starts as not old, so his stats are really quite good. So he makes for an excellent thug. Once you get out of the early game, you can start producing gear for him and start producing these guys in some of your off-cap provinces. You can send a lot of these guys out to do some thugging or do some army leading, things like that, casting big spells. Next, you have your 3 cap-only mages, and this is another annoying thing about Mekone. You have a lot of good mages, but most of them are capital only, or in the case of the Archon, he's slow to recruit, so you'll only be getting 1 every 2 turns. These 3 are all pretty useful, but they're all cap only, and 2 of them are slow to recruit. So the Polymarch is kind of your out-of-the-box thug. He's a combat caster. He's got 2 earth and 2 fire, which are both great thug paths. The problem is, I mean, he's not too bad. He's nothing really bad about him. The only problem is he takes recruitment spots away from your much better Cyclops and Basilius. Especially the Cyclops is much more useful to recruiting than the Polymarch. Some people really like the Polymarch. I see them recruit a lot of these guys and just spam them out as thugs. They'll even cater their bless around this guy and use tons and tons of these guys as like cheap thugs. But I really don't like them to be as much as thugs. I mostly use them as army leaders and battle casters, but I tend to not recruit them too much. I'd much rather recruit Cyclops or something like that instead. And as I said, I also prefer to use Archons as thugs, since a little bit of cheap gear can turn this guy into a much better thug than the Polymarch is, I think. Next to the Elder Cyclops, this is kind of really your best unit in the nation. Not only do you have these forge and resource bonuses, you have Master Smith, means you can forge things for a lower path than you actually have, or sorry, a higher path than what you actually have. And you have a resource bonus, meaning you do get some extra resources wherever this guy's sitting. So you can send these out to other provinces as well if you want to get more resources in those provinces, or just get a ton in your capital for whatever reason to recruit tons of things at once. He also has quite good paths. 2 fire, 2 earth, 1 air, and then a random for either fire, air, earth, or water. So this is one of your options to access water magic as well. But basically all the randoms have some use, and I'll show these off in the game. The main thing I like to use these guys for is beyond just thugging. These guys are excellent thugs. They have great stats. They're not old. They have natural fire resistance and a lot of other great things about them. But they're great elemental casters, since basically all of them can cast either fire elementals or earth elementals. And with the air bonus, they can cast, they can summon air elementals as well with a little bit of boosting. But these guys are great elemental casters, and I'll show a video in the game where I used a bunch of these guys just to clear out a province full of enemies using just elementals only. No armies, just a couple of these guys spamming fire and earth elementals. Alright, and the last one is the Basilius. He's your kind of go-to for water magic. He's also a priest too, so this is your guaranteed access to water. Beyond that, there's not much about him. He can get water too, and the same paths all your other mages get. But beyond that, I wouldn't really recruit too many of these guys. Maybe a couple for forging and casting some water-related spells. But in general, I'd rather get more Elder Cyclops, because you want to make him a lot of gear, and these guys are just much better than the Basilius in general anyways. But you can get a few of these guys. I would get a few just for the access to water, and for the Priest 2 if you need a Priest 2 for whatever reason. But beyond that, you're probably better off getting lots of Cyclops. Alright, let's go into god design. Now, there's a lot of different ideas you can consider when it comes to god design. Remember, you don't have any units, so your bless should be mostly focused around your mages. One pretty simple god I like is the Titan of Forethought. Now, you can take him, something basic like this. Just give him some generic elemental paths and a little bit of astral as well. The earth astral is great for you because you can make crystal gear, which will help form communions and boost up your kind of wimpy mages a little bit in the late game. So getting this will give you access to some nice things later. Let's kind of balance this out a little bit. You don't really need too much in the way of paths. I would like growth because you are going to get some population killing in your fort provinces, so having growth is pretty good for your income later. Beyond that, I don't know what else you really need. I mean, you don't need too much as Mekone. You do benefit from scales. I actually like to go luck just for the income. You really suffer for income as Mekone, so getting luck 3 is really nice for the extra income. Maybe I can even go imprisoned. I don't really need anything awake from him. Maybe this could be good, to be honest. You don't need that much, and you don't need much in the way of Dominion as well. I would go with something very simple like this, just all resists. Maybe like Strength of the Earth or Reconstruction. It's up to you. Maybe Strength is good to benefit the thugs a little bit. And then for the last one, I think I may go Farcaster. Arcane Finesse could be okay, but I think Farcaster benefits a lot of your more elemental-focused spells as Mekone, since a lot of, basically all your mages are elemental only. You don't have any access to sorcery natively as Mekone with your generic mages. So something that benefits them, and a lot of the elemental casting, especially the evocations. Mekone is a big evocation nation, but a lot of the elemental evocations have a pretty low range. So I think Farcaster is a good option. You can sit them in the back and have them cast like Fireball or whatever you want to do. So I think this is pretty good. This is a very basic god, but Mekone is pretty limited in that they will only follow giant gods, so no Dominion 1 pretenders available, only 2, 3, and 4 monsters, the Titans, and then the Immobiles. I like a Titan because when he wakes up, he can move around and do stuff. He can be useful a little bit more than an Immobile can. And the monsters are good too, but I tend to prefer the Titans just for the path spread, and you get more variety of paths available for you. Plus, this is not a bad Titan. He has the reduction in path cost, meaning it's not too expensive to get some extra paths on him, meaning the air and earth path. I think this is a great option, and this is something what I went with in the test game I'm going to show in a minute. Some other options you can go for, maybe one of the statues. I've seen people use the Statue of War because this spawns barbarians, so it'll give you some extra chaff to help you play the game, but I tend to not really like these paths. You already have tons of fire and earth as Mekone. I'd rather get something else. One thing I would consider, maybe getting some death access. You do have some unique death summons as Mekone, so maybe one of the death statues could be an option. Another option would be one of the Dominion 2 pretenders. For example, the Telkine God King. This could be, you do something kind of meme tier with him, where he just uses his gas attack. He has a natural, what can I say, Foul Vapors effect on him. So whenever he goes into battle, he auto-casts Foul Vapors, and that'll be kind of funny for getting some early game conquests, but still I think it's not really useful. You can kind of like expand pretty easily with Mekone. I don't know if you really need something meme tier like that. As for the other monsters, I don't really know. You just consider what you kind of need. If you want it, you definitely want to get some kind of sorcery path. I tend to prefer Astral, especially because Astral Earth, I can get into Crystal Gear, I can get into Golems in the late game. So I tend to prefer that as Mekone. It kind of suits your general paths you have already on your generic mages, or sorry, your national mages, getting that kind of Astral. So I tend to prefer that. But you can go with something as Death as well. Death is also a good option for Mekone for maybe the Hound of Hades, or even the Prince of Death, though I don't really like this guy that much. He has a reanimation bonus, I guess. I wouldn't really bother with that. You could go with Nature, though I don't know how useful that is for Mekone. I mean, maybe like a Drakon. Get a Drakon would be nice. He's a great expander, very generic, and it'll give you some access to nature magic. Though I still prefer getting some access to Astral rather than Nature or Death. Probably Death I would choose over Nature, and then Nature as the kind of last option. But yeah, like I said, you can go with something like Statue of Fertility to get some nature magic, get a big nature bonus. This would be good if you want to do some kind of regeneration bless for your thugs or your bigger mages and stuff, but still I tend to prefer this dude. Right, let's exit out of here. And before we actually go in the test game, I'll show a little bit of the unique units. So let's look at the unique spells for Mekone. You have quite a few unique spells. Some of them, as I mentioned before, require death magic. So you won't get this normally, but again, if you take death on a pretender, you could get access to some of these. First is the Bind Keres. Ker is this kind of demon unit, and they're quite decent units. They have a fear effect, they're stealthy, and they fly as well, they're invisible, they're ethereal. So these are quite decent units if you can summon them, if you do have access to death magic. If you make them a commander, they could be quite nice as like, I guess not really cheap thugs as well, because you do have to cast Gift of Reason or something on them to make them a commander. But I don't know. I mean, if you have a stealthy commander already, I don't really know if you have any. I mean, the Cryptis is not a commander, but maybe if you could somehow give him the ability to lead units. Maybe the Skull Charm will give him some undead leadership. I'm not sure what else will. That could give him the ability to lead some of these around, and maybe that could be useful. But I feel like that's a lot of work for something that's only kind of good. I mean, this is an option. Just think about it as well. Next is the Hound of Twilight. This is... Sorry, where is he? Now, this is an okay unit. Again, if you have access to Death Magic, you're going to have lots of Earth Gems as Mekone. So this could be kind of option. The main option for this is it has this Ghost Rending Bite. You can use this if you're fighting a lot of undead, but again, I don't know if this is really that worth it. Beyond the fear effect, it's not really much to say about it. It's okay. It's okay if you want to get it. The Lost Death Summon is Possession of the Underworld. It gives you these Lampads. Now again, you need Death Magic for this, and there's not much to say. They have this Banefire effect, and they have Recuperation, but there's not much else about them unless you want to do Stygian Paths, but it's kind of up to you. You don't really have much access to death, so you're not going to be using Stygian Paths that much. Either way, your death summons are kind of like minor and not that important. I mean, you can go for them if you want, but I would more consider the more generic death summons as an option if you're going death as Mekone. Your other options, Forge of Brass Bull is just a unit you can summon. Not much to say about it. It's just a lot of resistances and a very beefy unit, but it is just kind of a unit. Beyond that, you also have the Gigante Machia. This is more of a late game spell, and this gives, I believe it gives you a Dominion bonus. Sorry, Dominion games +3 conflict bonus, friendly Dominion +1, and you get a bonus to recruitment of giants. So you can recruit more giants per turn, and they're cheaper to recruit. So this is kind of something a little bit funny if you want to get this late game, but usually Mekone doesn't really research Thaumaturgy that much. At least I never research it that much. I have other priorities first. So I tend to never ever use this, but it's kind of a meme if you want to use it later in the game to, I don't know, pump out a lot of giants. This is one option for you. The last one, and definitely the most useful national spell out of all of these, is Sow Dragon Teeth. This is kind of your late game unit option. I will be spamming this a lot late game. All of your commanders should be spamming these guys. The Sparte. These are a great generic unit. They have the magic armor, they have the golden spear, and you summon quite a lot of them per cast, so you can get a bunch of these guys out while your mages do whatever spells. Really, you should be transitioning to using a lot of these rather than your giants into the late game. These paired up with a few giants and whatever other kind of units you have is what your late game army should really be made up of. The last one is Blessing of the Godslayer. This is also a little bit of a meme spell. It's a blessing for 1 polymark per year, I believe, right? I think it's 1 polymark only. Yeah, 1 polymark per year. So every year you have to recast it, and you can only cast it 1 polymark at a time. But it gives him a nice bonus, so he gets plus attack, plus defense. He's permanently blessed, so he's kind of like a out-of-the-box thug with this. He also gets Heretic, so he gets a bonus against other Sacreds. So this is okay. If you have access to a Water Mage, basically your Bacillus is the only one who can cast this natively. So you can cast it on a polymark for fun, but again, it's only 1 polymark and only 1 year. Then you have to cast it again. So it's not that useful. It's not that game-changing, you know? Alright, so that's enough with these spells here. Let's go back into the game. And let's take a look at a test game I was trying. Alright, so you see a lot of stuff happen this turn. I've been okay at expanding. Now, usually Mekone doesn't have too much of a problem expanding. This map's a little bit wonky. I'm very limited on where I can actually go, especially in my capital. I had basically one option, with this one freezing in the winter, so it's not that great. And this used to be a gigantic army here, but I'll show what happened here. I had my gang of Cyclops totally wipe out this big stack here, so we'll take a look at that in a minute. I'm also fighting with Vanheim up here, which is really annoying. Vanheim's always a pain in the ass to fight. And then Ashdod is down here, not really doing anything. He may or may not attack me next turn. I'll kind of see how that goes. Beyond that, I'm not doing too much in this game. I am going to show off some little thugging capability. So I'll try out one of my Cyclopses here. I'm going to gear him up. I'm going to use Cloud Trapeze to drop him in one of these provinces over here and try him out as a little bit of a thug. We'll also take a look at the options you have for summoning elementals. Definitely you want to get into elementals as a Mekone. One thing before I show this battle here is I'll show you what I've researched so far. So I went up to Conjuration 5 and Alteration 3. I went Alt 3 first, and then I went Conjuration 5 after, followed by Construction. So I'm going to Construction 4 soon. Definitely you want Alteration and Conjuration as Mekone, and Enchantment. Sorry, I don't have Enchantment, so I can't Cloud Trapeze. I thought I researched that already. That's another thing you want to get Enchantment for. So these are the three things you really want to get as a Mekone. You want to get Conjuration, Alteration, and Enchantment. Try to get Alteration 3, so you can get Mist Form. This will allow you to boost your thugs a little bit. You can also get a few things like Blast of Sand and some other useful spells as well. Conjuration 5, of course, lets you get to the elemental summons, so you can summon elementals, and a lot of your units are able to summon air, fire, and earth elementals, so that's really useful for you. And then, obviously, Construction. Once you get up to Construction 2, Construction 4, you can start sending thugs out and doing a lot of damage that way. And, of course, Enchantment. Once you get to Enchantment 4, you get Cloud Trapeze and Flaming Arrows, which are both really useful for you. So this is something important for you as well. You can also get Vile Water. If you have some Bacillus around with Water 2, you can start summoning Vile Water as an option. Just to get some other units available, you can start summoning some useful summonables. But mostly you want these three, and then you can consider other things later. Maybe go into Evocation is also important for you, so maybe start getting Evocations as well. But I tend to try to get Conjuration, Alteration first, Construction, and then whatever else. Maybe Enchantment or maybe Evocation. You can see I'm going with these for the moment. Why am I not getting much research? Oh, that's because I moved up all my researchers. Alright, let's take a look at this battle first. So you can see I had my Cyclopses here, and about 250 units. This is, again, just indie units, but let's see this battle. Now here they are, Cyclops gang. Speed up a little bit. Now here they go, Elemental Spam. This, again, shows how powerful Elementals are. They can really tear up a gigantic army like this. Just a handful of mages can totally demolish a huge army. And especially if you know what kind of units you're going to be facing, you can summon the elementals useful for that. So I knew I was going to be facing a lot of undead. I tried to get a lot of fire elementals for that, and you can see the fire elementals totally demolish undead. This is another reason why, for example, Urmor or a lot of the undead nations kind of suffer against elemental spammers, because once you can spam a lot of these fire elementals, they'll totally destroy the undead hordes of Urmor. And then again, that's also why Urmor tends to focus more on its lictors rather than its undead hordes, which is kind of funny, because they're supposed to be their typical archetypal undead swarm nation, yet they focus more on these heavily armored lictor skeletons rather than just swarms of undead. And there they are, all the undead burnt away. Meanwhile, Mekone gang is safe and sound. Right, some other battles here. Some battle attack that province. Some Indies attacked here. Let's end the turn and see how that went. Oh, assassinated somebody. That's good. Alright, so let's get these guys researching again. I'm actually going to... I need a new... I'm not sure where my prophet is. Did he die? I think my prophet did die, or maybe he disappeared somewhere. I'm not sure where he actually went. Maybe he hasn't recovered yet. I'm going to attack this province here, see if I can kick this army off of this province. Beyond that, I'm also going to gear up one of these guys. Let's find one with Air 2. This will be my kind of designated thug. I'm going to give him a little bit of gear. Oh, I got some nice gear here. First, I'm going to give him a Mace of Eruption, a Dragon Helmet, a Lead Shield, Copper Plate, and a Burning Pearl. Not much else I really want to do. That's fine. That's okay for him. I could give him some boots as well, but let's just give him a few gems. And let's send him out somewhere. We'll try to send him out here. In the meantime, I'm waiting for Enchantment 4. That'll be quite a while, to be honest. So let's keep researching here. Let's keep recruiting these guys. I'm going to go back to recruiting Cyclops. Ooh, I'm so poor. One of the constant troubles as Mekone is you're going to be poor just constantly. You're always going to be lacking money. I'm always lacking money as Mekone. Even when you have a lot of stuff going well for you, you're always behind when it comes to your income. So we're just going to do a few turns here. I'm going to see if I can get this guy into battle and doing something. So let's get him to summon Fire Elemental. Summon maybe an Earth Elemental as well. And then he can attack. Alright. So let's end the turn here. Let's see the next turn. Alright, we had a battle here. Oh, terrible. Nasty. That sucks. Jeez, Vanheim is such a pain to deal with. So they only have 20 units here. Jeez, why did I die so badly? Oh, boy. So they probably killed this guy, and then everybody ran and was killed. Yeah, that's definitely what happened, yeah. These guys all sprinted away, they ran away, and then all died. Too bad, too bad. Lucky, I think that guy is immortal. I'm not really sure. Is he? He's Dominion Immortal, so maybe he will come back next turn. Is still in my Dominion? It is in my Dominion, so maybe he'll return next turn. So it's not a big deal to lose him, but that really does suck. Regardless, I'm going to send this guy out to try to deal with some other problems over there. Oh, that sucks. So what can I do with this then? Let's give this guy some Shambler armor so we can go underwater maybe. Can't get him out of here anyways. Okay. Oh, he's back. So there he is. He's wounded though, which is not great. But at least he's still alive, so we can maybe send him to... Oh, he's only got 1 priest level. I thought he had 2 priest levels. Oh, half magic skills. Damn, that sucks. Okay, so no wonder he's a little bit weak at the moment. Come prophet. Let's make one of these guys my prophet. Let me make this guy my prophet. I can research for the time being. Let's try to recruit something. I'm so low on units right now. I need to get something on the field. Otherwise, Vanheim is just going to rip me apart. Oh, I got a lot of these guys here. What are these guys doing? Okay, let's load up an army with these. I forgot about recruiting these guys for like turn after turn. So this is a problem with the 1-1-1 guy, the 1 air, 1 fire, 1 earth, is he can't really cast anything useful. Do Iron Skin, Blast of Sand? Sucks. I don't know. Get him to do Combustion or something. He really can't do much. Alright, you stay there. Let's send him to take out this province of barbarians, maybe. This guy will go around and maybe deal with Vanheim. Hopefully, he doesn't die. Let's see how that goes. Alright. Let's get this guy research. And let's end the turn here. Okay, some battles here. Battle in Trollland. Oh, beaten by Hinnom, so that's not too good. Just barbarians were killed. Looks like we both moved in the same province. Battle in the Marshlands. Forces defeated the attacking force from Vanheim. Let's take a look at this battle here. So this is my Cyclops Thug. Now, just the province defense versus a bunch of barbarians, so not too difficult to deal with, I think. So here you go, summon a few elementals. And then he's going to run in and attack as well. Oh. So before he can even come and attack, I think he's out of energy, right? Fatigue. Oh, he's incredibly fatigued, so I think he's actually asleep at the moment, right? I'm not really sure. Yeah, that's why he's not moving anywhere. He's out of energy. Either way, they're dealt with, so that's not too bad. Well, that worked anyways. Okay, let's see if we can actually deal with one of these here. We really need to get rid of this army. I need some more troops for sure. Okay, he still has some gems left. Let's see if he can take this province out. And this guy with the... Does he have Shambler armor on? Who took the Shambler armor? Let's take the Shambler off this guy and give it to him. Maybe he can go underwater and do something. First I'm going to claim this throne, the throne of skulls. Troops going to die, and that's not bad. And I'll get some more death income, which is good as well. Okay, I really need some more troops for sure. And I'm probably going to get attacked by Hinnom at the moment. So this game is not going too well at the moment, but I just want to show a few basics of the playing this nation. Again, this is a pretty difficult nation. You have a lot of things going against you. You have low income. You're really limited in what your mages can do. The mages you can easily summon are not useful. The mages that are really difficult to summon or can only be summoned from your capital or are difficult to summon and can only be from the capital, like your Cyclops, really limit in what you can do with this nation. So you really have to be careful. I find I tend to do a little bit better online because players tend to not want to attack you. You're really difficult to conquer. You have these big forts, the city fort, which are a little bit stronger than... Sorry, here it is. You have these forts which are a little bit stronger than generic forts, the walled city. So you're quite hard to conquer. And your troops are very difficult to fight against as well because a lot of them have magic weapons and are pretty beefy giants. So people tend to not want to attack you, but you tend to have a very difficult time attacking them and defeating them as well. So you really have to strategize a little bit, and definitely your god design plays a big role. My god is going to wake up in year 3, so it's only year 2 right now. He might wake up in a little while at the end of this year. So when he does, I can start getting some communions up, if I get crystal gear, things like that, so that should give me a nice power boost a little bit later. Okay, let's recruiting here. Getting these. So poor at the moment. Alright, let's end the turn here. Battle here. Looks like he dealt with that pretty well. Let's see how that went. Looks like that fire elemental and the earth elemental should be enough to deal with all of this themselves. Pretty much the elementals do everything. He just sits here and goes to sleep. Yeah, goodbye. Alright, finally getting some enchantment. Let's see if we can send this guy somewhere. Attack this guy here. One thing I'm going to try to do, have I got enough enchantment? Enchantment 4, so I should be able to get that maybe next turn. Let's see if I can get anyone else researching. Get this guy to research as well. I'm going to boost the defense here. This will keep the AI away from me, so I don't have to deal with fighting them at the moment. AI tends to really not want to attack provinces with a ton of PD in it. And this province is not going to fall anytime soon, so it seems okay. I'm going to send this guy to keep attacking, and I'm going to have some of these guys to keep making some gear. I'm going to try to do a Cloud Trapeze thug attack before I end this video here. Let's get a few of these guys to make something for me. So what could I make? I'm at level 4 construction now, which is good. What else could be good? Let's actually get the fire shield or heat. I think let's get fire shield here. Make a charcoal shield. These guys can make something as well. Let's get one guy to make a fire helmet. Armor of the elements as well. Actually, you know what? Better than Armor of the Elements is this Chainmail of Displacement. Let's make that instead. And this guy can make something else. What else can he make? Some kind of boots, maybe. Maybe a Girdle of Might. I'm not really sure what would be useful for a thug like this. Let's get just a Girdle of Might. I don't need too much in magic resistance gear. Online, I'd probably like to get some more MR gear. You don't have too much access to it as Mekone. You can do things like the lead shield and stuff like that. Actually, I should make some weapons, so I will make a lead shield maybe. Well, it's going to weigh him down a lot. What kind of weapon should I make? I think I'm going to go with the... You know what? I'm going to go with the Star of Thraldom. This is something that I see not too many people use for thugging. People tend to make just a frost brand and a fire brand, but I like to use some of these other weapons sometimes too. They're not all too bad, and this is not bad as well, because it basically locks down units you're fighting, lets you kill them pretty quickly, especially with a charcoal shield or a gleaming hoplon. Your fire shield or your heat will either make them fall asleep or die very quickly, so that's an option for you as well. And who else can be making something? Probably won't get rid of that next turn, but that's okay. Let's get one of these guys to make something as well. What else do I need? Let's get some kind of boots going here as well. Why not get the chi shoes? Chi shoes are funny. Kick them right in the face. Alright, that's good. Let's get them to make that stuff. Then maybe in another turn. In another turn, we will be able to have one of these guys airdrop into enemy territory. Battle here. Oh, finally he died. That's too bad. Did he fall asleep again and get killed? Yeah, it looks like he did. Too bad. Oh boy. Yeah, too bad. Couldn't deal with it. He lasted for quite a while, but I really need to attack them immediately, not just keep casting stuff. Okay, not too bad. So that kind of sucks, but next turn I should be able to get Enchantment 4. Let's get these guys back to researching. And one of these guys I can have make another item. Let's get something else to give him a little bit more defense. Like a dancing shield. Oh, and this guy wanted to claim the Throne of Ascension. Okay, let's actually also send one of these armies out to hopefully deal with this province in the north. Let's have this guy summoning some fire elementals. Alright, so there, that guy can fire. Let's send this guy north, and maybe he can help deal with this province that's giving me a ton of problems. Maybe we'll send this guy along with him as well, just to support him a little bit. He's pretty weakened, but, you know, whatever. Try his best there. Okay, not too bad. Let's end the turn here. Okay, not much happened that turn. Alright, now let's get one of these guys going out there as a bit of a thug. So this guy here, Pandaros, is going to be my airdrop thug. I'm going to give him a little bit of gems. Give him some more earth gems. Let's gear him up. So Chainmail Displacement, Flame Helmet, Chi Shoes, Girdle of Might, a Star of Thraldom, Dancing Shield. Ooh, where did this come from? Regeneration, that's nice. Maybe we should give him that. Let's take off the Dancing Shield and give him the Ring of Regen. It's not too bad. So this is pretty good. This is a very good setup. Now he's got 3 fire as well, so now we can just automatically cast the Flame Elementals. Let's give him a few more Flame Gems then. Let's give him a setup. So first of all, I'm going to have him summon a Flame Elemental. Just 1. Then he can do Mist Form. Actually, he's already got Chainmail Displacement, so he doesn't need Mist Form. We can have him do Iron Skin. And then Flying Shield. Then Flight. And then Attack rearmost enemies. Alright, that's pretty good. That's a nice little setup that'll give him a lot of benefits, and he won't, hopefully won't fall asleep before attacking everyone. And let's airdrop him somewhere. Spell. Cloud Trapeze. Now, where can he go? Let's give him somewhere over here. I'm going to drop him behind the enemy lines over here, and actually, let's take one of these provinces back. These guys can move north as well. Let's give this guy a few gems. He's pretty sad losing all his magic paths. This guy, what can this guy do? Let's see if he can actually take this province by himself. I don't know if he can without any other bonuses. He needs some gems. Maybe if he can do School of Sharks or summon Water Elemental, then he could deal with that province. Spells. Let's see what else he can do. Maybe he can do Word of Stone or something. I'm going to send him back to get some more gems, and then we'll send him to this water province to hopefully deal with that. Alright, let's see how this goes. We'll do one more turn, 1 or 2 more turns, and then that should be good. Get a few of these guys, start recruiting these guys again. I really need to get more forts up. I'm really suffering having only 3 forts at the moment, with one of them being occupied. Let's build a fort in one of these provinces in the north, I think. Battle here. Okay, nice. Let's see how this went. Oh, forces were beaten. Oh, too bad. Either way, let's see how the battle went. This is quite a big army he has here. Oh, these Van Jarls. These herdmen are a pain to deal with. Looks like he was able to kill quite a lot of them just standing here, as I thought. And he's pretty strong. He's not really getting hurt too badly. Just he ran away, that's it. He ran out of morale. But I think he's probably okay. Let's take a look at that. Oh, he was killed. Oh, that sucks so much. Oh, that's always a pain sometimes with this. Especially when you airdrop. You never know if they run away. They'll just run into enemy territory and instantly get killed. So that's a big, big pain. That makes me so sad. After investing all that gear into him. Oh well, you know, that's how it is. Alright, so I think I'm going to end the video here. Not much else to say. You can see I'm not doing that great as Mekone at the moment. I'm really suffering against Vanheim here. And definitely Mekone is a very strategic nation. You have to, when you're playing online, you have to really take advantage of the kind of in-game politics and align yourself pretty well. Because as I said, most people don't want to attack you. But you are going to suffer in most wars against everyone because you're lacking pretty much everything. The main thing is think smart. Think about what you do have. You have access to the elementals. Think about what you need. You need maybe some astral, maybe some death, and think about what you're going to do late game because Mekone doesn't have any late game options by itself. You need to think of something else. Like, is it going to be death magic? Are you going to be going into astral summons like golems? What are you going to be doing? So either way, guys, I think I'm going to end the video here. This is enough for Mekone, and I'll hopefully see you guys again, for one, in the new year, and Merry Christmas, guys, and Happy New Year, and also see you guys once Dominion 6 launches. So either way, guys, see you again next time. Goodbye.